Hey guys, welcome to the one and only Fox and Burger podcast, where we bring you closer to the Asian side of the furry fandom. I'm your co-host Fox.
And I'm Burger.
And today we're going to Hong Kong. Joining us today on this journey is Gantos the bobcat and Skrill the red fox. Gantos has been in the fandom since 2011 and is currently residing in Hong Kong. Skrill has been in the fandom since 2014 and currently resides in the United Kingdom. We're very excited to have both of them talk to us about the Hong Kong furry fandom and how the fandom is like over there. So without further ado, let's give them a big awoo.
Hey,
Awoo,
hey, that's
bark.
me, Gantos. Yeah.
I'm on television.
It's very interesting because we're recording this episode during a hurricane, technically. I think we had the same thing happen with Pukan, so I guess fate struck us twice. But so far, rains haven't hit us in Taiwan yet.
Yeah, I could, totally understand that because like the two two hurricanes have just like somehow just passed by Hong Kong
Oh, really?
at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll be okay and we'll be all right. So let's go ahead and jump into our section 1 then. So briefly tell us what your guys' persona is and how you guys joined the fandom.
Well, like you said, I'm a bobcat, and I've been in the Hong Kong side of the fandom since 2011. I was formerly a purple Pomeranian wolf by the name of Tev when I initially joined the Vancouver side of the furry fandom back in 2011, and I joined that for like around 3 years. And then when I moved back to Hong Kong, I had a few years in which I was going through a bit of a hiatus, and then looked a bit on the Hong Kong side before joining the furry fandom again, like 2017.
My persona is Nosebleed. He's a red fox.
Wow. Hardcore.
Yeah, it's a very generic red fox with red, black, and white and stuff. Because I asked my friends what color matches the vibes I was giving off at that time. So I joined the fandom through a recommendation video on YouTube in 2014 March, and then I participated in the Hong Kong community through like an invitation to a WhatsApp group by a member. In the July of 2017, yes, and Zootopia is the main influence that brought me into this fandom.
It's always interesting the influence that Zootopia has now on, I guess you would call it the newer recruits for the fandom. Like, when I first joined, I think the biggest furry thing, what would it be? It would have been somewhere in like 2009, 2010.
I thought Beastars is probably the newest generation of furries, because Beastars are like everybody's talking about Beastars, and then Zootopia is like being put aside.
Well, I mean, Zootopia is Disney. That's a much bigger franchise
I
than...
agree.
Okay, I'm forgetting the studio that did Beastars, but also Beastars is on Netflix, and there's been a couple more furry stuff that's come out after that as well. There's also B and A.
I'm in it. Love B and A.
You keep saying that just because they ripped off Eurosi.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I want to say though that we're gonna do something a little bit different here in this episode, guys. This episode is gonna be a bit more topical, so we actually have like several topics and questions that we'll be asking about in general for the Hong Kong furry fandom. So we're not really gonna have a section 2, by the way. We're not gonna have that for this episode. I did want to say briefly though, I think I met Gantos for the first time. I think like in person, it's got to be like 2019, was it? Like I think that's when I saw you.
At Infinity was at that dinner meet.
In Infinity 2019. I know you were there in 2018. And I know Skrill was at Infinity 2018, which I really missed. That arguably
both
speaking,
2019.
Yeah. Did you go to 2019 as well?
Yeah, I did too.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know, like, for Skrill, I don't know if I actually had the chance to actually talk to you, though. I remember seeing your fursuit, because I think you're in some of my pictures. Still, though, like, it's awesome to have both of you on the podcast.
And I don't think I have met either of you in person yet. I may have seen Gantos in the, the Infernity Telegram group chat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's me.
That's him. with the hipster like beanie and him looking off to like the side
because he's too
looking
cool for
mischievous.
school.
Yeah.
I was a furry before it was cool. I was a furry before Beastars was cool. I was a furry before Zootopia was cool, which technically is true. I was into Pokemon back then, and then I was like really, I was like really so not original. I just went with like a wolf dog because back then I really like canine Pokemon like canine and hyena Pokemon like Matina and Arcanine. So,
Good choices.
Let's go ahead and get into our comparing contrasting fandoms section then. So as always, I like to start with our first basic question, which is, in general, how does the Hong Kong public view furries?
I don't think they're really are too aware of like the furry community in Hong Kong, because it's like when they see the furries, they like usually conflate it with like the anime and cosplay scene.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like when they see a character, to be like, "Oh, who is this a character of?" And be like, it's my own character." Awkward silence.
So when they ask you like, "Who's this character of?" they're probably thinking like, "Is it from like a TV show or like an anime series?" Is that what
Indeed.
you're saying?
Yep.
Oh, okay, right.
And not to mention that it's like we don't really have our own FurCon, so we usually just piggyback off like the local anime convention in Hong Kong. So that's kind of like where the assumption is. Other than that, it would be like, whoa, look at that cute dog. Whoa, look at that cute cat. Whoa, look at that cute wolf, etc., etc. It's just, I think it's relatively general and relatively tame without too much of like specific opinions.
And for my opinion, I think that the Hong Kong public, they do not assume it just for fun. Probably, if they see a furry in the wild or just probably hanging around, they're gonna say, "Oh, it's a very time-consuming and an expensive hobby. Why are you buying these art? They're for nothing." And then, yeah, it's just very goal-oriented, and they thought it was like business or something. So. I mean, Hong Kong is a very fast-paced city, so yeah, that makes sense. It's more like
Everyone's
a
in
neutral
it for the
sign.
rat race.
Yeah, follow-up question for Skrill then. Now, would you say then that like the Hong Kong public kind of like conflates like mascoting with furry then? Do they think that you're like a mascotter for some company or
Yeah,
show
that
or
one
something
time,
like that?
I was being a handler at a waterfront park. Someone was fursuiting, and they come over here and ask if we're like doing for charity or is it like a business promotion or something. They thought it was like a promotion or business related activity or something.
I want to ask that because it's I guess it's like a favorite of mine, because for fans of the show or for like longtime viewers of the show, we're always comparing and contrasting fandoms, right? And so this is a question that we've been asking a lot, and we've been finding out that around Asia, that the idea of like a fursuiter being a mascot, like mistaken as a mascot, I mean, is a thing, right? Like it's in Taiwan, and I believe in our latest episode that we recorded with Titania, I think they said the same thing. I believe in Japan it's the same as well, from what I hear. And so like I always find that interesting though, because like I just think about like in the States, if I'm not a fursuiter, but in the States, like I don't know if I would immediately associate a fursuit with like a mascot per se. Though, you know, that's not to say that it can happen. Like it might happen. I just don't see that happen as often. I want to move on to our next question, though, keeping on this topic of like the Hong Kong public and how they view furries. When you're trying to talk to a person who's like a non-furry, then like what words or concepts do you use to explain to that person what furry actually is?
In layman terms, we could just say we're a fan of anthropomorphic animal, like just cartoon animal people. The short of it, that is.
And for me, I'm going to ask them, "Hey, have you seen that movie, The Lion King? Oh yeah, the lions inside of that movie. Oh, they talk. Yeah, I like animals, cartoon animals that talk. Oh, have you seen that movie, Zootopia? Yeah, I like those too. The cartoon animals are just very interesting. And then also, other than the cartoon side, I usually tell them like, "Oh, I love like cosplaying as like a character that was created by myself." So yeah, that's it.
So then, like, or at least based off of what Skrill said, like, I actually do use that, like, I don't know, how would you say it? Like, that reference, I guess? Like, oh, do you know The Lion King, or do you know Zootopia? Do you know what anthropomorphism is? Like, if I was using English, I would probably say those words to kind of convey the concept of furry, to kind of help that person. I think at some point I might also use the word cosplay as well. I think that, like, people kind of know what cosplay is, and so to use that word, it's like bridging that gap. Had a question here for Gantos though. This is actually kind of a fun question that I've been asking other guests, but like, then how do you say the word furry in Cantonese then?
Okay, so first of all, it's like one of the words would be like 毛毛 咯, mao mao.
Sure, Mao Mao.
The other one is like 手族啊,手紅啦.
What about 兽人?
兽人, I think that kind of works, but I think at the same time, when I think of 兽人, I think of the orcs. I think of orcs from like the high fantasy races. Right. Or another one would be like, in a heavily Hong Kong accent English, furry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always curious about that, because in our, like, I guess, like, travels across Asia in this podcast, like the word for furry, probably because I'm in translation, I'm always so interested in that kind of like concept, because you can either transliterate it, like you just said, furry. You can transliterate it, or there might be a native word for it already in that country or in that region. And so I was really curious about that. So yeah, thank you for that.
Now let's think about this. Let's say you go out, put on your fursuit, and head out into Hong Kong. How easy would that be? Do you need like a permit? Do you need some kind of permission if you're going to a private area, even like a public area? How do you go around fursuiting in Hong Kong without causing any trouble with the public?
Well, if you're like just one or two persons going around in public and just like putting it on your head and just like taking a few shots and then taking it off, then that's relatively okay. But if you're like trying to like start a flash mob in like a shopping center or right in the middle of a CBD, then it would be very difficult, because number one, they'll probably ask you for a permit, because as Skrill has said, they'll think that you're probably like working for like some sort of NGO, or like you're like trying to promote some products.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not the case, they'll be like, you guys are just in the way, can you guys move on or something? And not to mention is because well, I think given the political situation, it's like they wouldn't be really happy to see like you like just putting on like the heads and stuff like that, because they don't know who you are underneath. So that'll be a bit of a problem. And also, even if you put all of these security issues with the public out of the way, Hong Kong is a very, very hot place. It's like if you're trying to just go and fursuit in like during the summer, like in like 30 to 35 degrees at like 90% humidity out in public, good luck with that. And that means I have to give like particular respect to first in like some other places like Singapore and Thailand, Indonesia, maybe. Malaysia. It's like that's crazy awesome, man. It's like it takes a lot of stamina to do that.
And water.
Them.
Yeah, stamina, endurance, and water. I mean, it's surprising. I guess it's not that surprising, but it's basically kind of this phenomena of just all of Southeast Asia, just because it's close to the equator. But like basically, almost all weather is just hot, rainy, humid, or cloudy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's a good thing, at least in Hong Kong, for like the winter and like early spring, it's actually relatively well. Like it could go down to like 10 to 15 degrees, and that's usually when we would actually consider fursuiting out in public.
Talk about the tall buildings.
Yeah, the tall buildings. It's like there's
the
no
air isn't
movement.
Gonna be good. We don't have fresh air because the air is just being recycled through the tall buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Props of living in a concrete jungle. Woo!
I know that feel.
One thing to mention about the fursuiting outside with the permit and stuff. In 2017, we have like a annual fursuit parade. We go on fursuiting in the public area, and then we start from a hotel. When we got to the hotel, and we were trying to get out like with our fursuits and stuff, the security immediately stopped us and requires us to take the head off when we're entering in their property. So it's very clear that Hong Kong, in private places, Hong Kong is very strict about the no mask in their property rule. So yeah, when you're fursuiting in mall and stuff, it's just better to contact the mall itself or just contact whatever department is in charge, because getting a permit is like a lot safer.
Right.
Because it's unfortunate. It's like even if you've done all the work to like trying to get permission and going to get approval, it's like when it comes to that day and they actually see the reality of the situation, it's like they do kind of have a discretion to like pull back on some of the agreements, which I really don't blame them. But yeah.
I mean, also hotels, they don't think that, wait, this is not profitable. This is not for business. Why am I wasting time on letting you standing here and then causing a blockage because people are taking pictures of you? And yeah, basically, they don't really buy that idea when it's not profitable for them.
Yeah, that sounds really hilarious and basically explains how Hong Kong is based on all that I've read and seen about Hong Kong and how capitalist it is.
Yep. It's all a big rat race.
Yeah, everything is a competition. The moment you are born, it's a competition.
Yeah. So, you already kind of answered one of the following questions, which is, what are some funny stories that you all have regarding to fursuiting in Hong Kong? But if you have any other anecdotes, then I will accept that as well.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
During one of the other Christmas fursuit parade walks in Hong Kong, yeah, it was around the same area. We ran into a local party bus group. It's like, and then of course, like photos being taken and laughters and whatnot. And then the tour guide had to say to the tour group, "This is not part of the itinerary. This entire funny animal costume parade is not part of the festival itinerary." So and I've actually found it really hilarious, and I've got a small 20-second video clip that I could share later about
Love
it.
to see it.
I love seeing other people's reactions when we first do it in public. And that one time, I remember we are first shooting at the Chun Wan West waterfront park. And then a group of Filipinos screamed in excitement as if they've won like a jackpot from a lottery. For at least half of an hour, they were very polite. That's one thing. But like their reactions with their friends, just screaming, and also like oh, it's so cute, that thing, it's just hilarious and also heartwarming, because it's a great thing to see that we're putting smiles on people's face.
Absolutely.
And we made like a great memory for them and their friends.
It's like most of our funny experiences are pretty wholesome.
Yeah, but like one time I get pulled in the tail by children.
Oh.
So yeah.
I work with children, so I know exactly that kind of behavior. It's just weird that it's a lot more physical when it comes to Asian kids than other, I guess in America, I think. And I'm not
about Hong Kong style education. The parents are extremely protective and competitive when it comes to kids. So
sounds
if it's their kid, they can do it.
It sounds like Taiwanese education as well.
Yeah.
It's like it kind of runs around in Asia, eh?
Yeah. So, given how small HK is, I guess this is similar to what happens in Singapore. How frequently do the Hong Kong furries have fur meets, and how easy is it for you all to get together and schedule that kind of stuff?
If we take the epidemic out of the question, it's like we could say it's like probably once every few weeks. It's like the usual fur meets that we have are like dinner meets, but we will also throw in the local party room every now and then. The dinner meets would usually be like a Japanese all-you-can-eat in like Mongkok, which is basically a CBD in Kowloon, which would be around like 10 to 20 people. And fur meets wise, it will be usually at a party room. And it would probably, I think at most we had like 40? 40, wow, yeah, 40. But it could range anywhere from like 20 people to 40 people.
Interesting.
Wow.
And Yeah, so it's like Hong Kong is very small. It's really easy to commute everywhere. It's like,
Right.
and
Right.
for us, it would be like if 2 hours would be really, really far. Usually, the commuting time, if it takes anywhere from like 30 minutes to an hour to get to the fur meet, it's reasonable. We usually meet at the local mass transit railway station. We just meet together and then we just head on to our destination.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very convenient. I agree with that. Totally agree with that.
Mhm.
You don't need to drive. You don't need to, just team up with another group of people to just get in like some sort of venues and stuff. It's very convenient. It's just very close. Driving is like unnecessary in Hong Kong. Oh, we have artist meets too. I forgot about that. We have like a group of artists because usually artists they aren't like super into like fursuit and stuff. They're into drawing, and we couldn't find like an appropriate time or a place for fursuiting. So usually the artists they just gather around at a cafe and then draw for the whole time and then just chat.
We kind of touched upon this topic already about the size of Hong Kong. I kind of want to like go ahead and just state some facts about Hong Kong. And this is all coming from Wikipedia, so if this is wrong, definitely you guys can correct me. Hong Kong is a city of about 7.5 million people, and it's approximately 426 square miles. And I know that's U.S. Customary units, so sorry about that.
Mhm.
So it's not really a big place. And it really like what Berger said, like it really brings me back to the conversations we had with Kaioki and Holud about the size of Singapore, right? Like it's a small country and it's very dense. And just like what you mentioned, Gantos, it's easy to meet people. It's easy to kind of get around using public transit.
Indeed.
And that's like in really stark contrast with what we had with Indonesia when we interviewed Chiros and Claude. Because for that country, it's a very large country, and it's also an archipelago, and so it's very hard for those furries to kind of like meet together, and just like have fur meets. For them, though, like the unifying thing for them that we learned in that episode was what was it, Hawaii. And so like my question here, though, going back to Hong Kong, then is like, how does like size and density affect how furries interact in Hong Kong? We kind of touched upon it a little bit, but I'd like to ask that.
Definitely like brings us back to the point where the MTR system is really extensive, and it just basically makes like getting people from one place of Hong Kong.
We can flash a picture of the MTR, I guess, on the screen now to show everyone.
It's still expanding. It's
Wow,
still
that's
expanding. It's going to look like the friggin' London Underground, which
Wow.
I think there's more to that in terms of coincidence because Hong Kong back then is like British Hong
Right.
Kong. So and then there's like the MT was designed by like folks who have like definitely have experience. So makes things just really easy for people to get around. Which also brings me to another small anecdote because I still remember Skrill. I remember that time when we got some furs from out of town coming to Hong Kong, and then we had like dinner in Mong Kok.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we zipped all the way to North Point for dessert.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, it's like I think like Lightning could probably flash a map of like where Mong Kok is, and then North Point.
We go from Kowloon to Hong Kong Island in just like less than probably like
45
for less than
minutes.
45
Less than
minutes.
45.
That's really convenient.
Wow.
Just go everywhere.
I love that.
Suppose like I'm in like on the island, and then there's fur meets that I am attending in like new territories. And when I got there, I realized, oh no, I left something back home. I'll be like, zoop, and then go back home, and then zoop, and then go back, and then I'll still probably have a little bit of time to spare.
As long as you don't mind the bus fare or the MTR
Sure.
fares, you're definitely good if you want to go back and get something. It's very convenient. Yeah. One thing I wanna mention is that I noticed that other countries like Canada and Western countries, they have like bowling meets and also ice skating rinks with fursuits and stuff. We don't have that. We don't do that.
It's interesting because you mentioned like this. I was gonna jump in on this when you're talking about like the party rooms. Because here in Taiwan and also during my short time in the States when I was a furry in the States, I don't remember like renting out party rooms to just have fur meets. Like here in Taiwan, we would pick a hotel maybe to hang out, or we would pick a park, or we pick a scenic area to take photos. But I don't know if we ever would say like, okay, like here's a party room. I've never actually seen a fandom or seen a group of people like hang out through party rooms. I think that's really cool.
But Gantos, we gotta explain, what is a party room? What does a party room have?
I was just gonna ask. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
What's a party room? Because I remember there's a UK fur loop stripe that came to Hong Kong.
oh yeah, loop strap.
Yeah,
Yes,
it came to Hong Kong and then participated in one of the activities, the party room activities we have. And then he mentioned that party room is something that Hong Kong's unique fur meat style because he has never seen anything like that before. So
Right.
that kind of like I kind of remember that.
Right.
Yeah, I was like so sad I didn't manage to go to that meet with Loop Stripe, but I did meet up with him before that though. Okay, a party room is basically where a bunch of people could be anywhere from around 8 to around 25 people would rent out a certain activity space in Hong Kong. It's like probably like in a refurbished office room or repurposed warehouse place, and socialize with like board games, like drawing, and just like sing karaoke, and like just
Ball
basically a
pits.
multi-purpose entertainment room.
Ball pits. I remember there were like
And,
yeah,
oh yeah, and the
Oh,
ball
yeah,
pits.
pits and
Wow.
also
Well,
different
for
styles.
some of the
Flash
party rooms.
Seen some.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also like karaoke and stuff.
When I was thinking party room, I was thinking like a
Yeah.
banquet hall.
Yeah, no.
I did not.
Well,
think
but
about
that is on the that is a
Sure.
consideration.
Yeah.
I
If you're
guess.
getting married, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else kind of facility would you be able to rent out for 8 to 25 people just for a party?
It'll probably set you around back, I think, 1,600 for like the afternoon. That's around Hong Kong dollars. So you divide that around like 8.2 USD. No, 8.2. I can't do math.
Yeah.
Okay. So Hong Kong to me comes off as this kind of place. Again, I keep making the comparison to Singapore, but like East meets West in the sense that it has like this lingering British influence from British colonization, but then there's that local Hong Kong flavor. And so like I'm really curious to know like how would you guys describe or characterize Hong Kong furries? Like what words would you use to describe them? Are they open-minded? Are they shy? Are they energetic? Like what would you use?
Well, if it's about a local Hong Kong furry group, I think it'd be a little bit more on the introverted side. It's like they'll probably need a little bit more time to warm up to you. I remember back when I was trying to join the Hong Kong furry fandom, there's like, well, I tried to get a foot in the door of the locals, and they'd be like saying, "Oh, do you know someone who's like in the community? Are you friends with someone in the community?" But that was before there was like Telegram or like WhatsApp and stuff like that to facilitate ease of communications. Well, at the same time, it's like we do have expat demographics in the Hong Kong furry group, and they're a little bit more
Right.
outgoing in personality. You did mention about how the East meets West cultural influence, but I like to say that the Western influence doesn't really transfer over as much into Hong Kong furry fandom as
Oh,
you
okay,
think.
okay.
We don't really hang out at like Soho or Lan Kwai Fong. Basically, the expat areas we hang out at local eats like at Japanese all you can
Right.
eats and stuff.
I think that Hong Kong furries, there's that one thing is that because we're British influenced, but also like we're in Asia, so there's like a subgroup is that we're divided into like the local group and the English speaking group.
Right.
Which brings to the point, as Gantos has said, our main ways of communicating is like through Canto and also English and also like probably Mandarin and Japanese or some other Asian country languages. Yeah, I agree with Gantos. It's definitely more leaning towards to the introverted side because
Sure.
I think Asia is like overall a very polite region. So that like they care about like manners and stuff, and we don't tend to just go up to others. We're just minding our own business.
You kind of already preemptively answered one of the questions about like what language you guys use, and you mentioned you primarily use Cantonese, and I think that's like really interesting again for like a country that again has like this like colonial heritage, just like Singapore. But in Singapore, most furries actually would use English and not Mandarin or a Chinese dialect. Though that's not to say they couldn't speak those languages if they wanted to. But again, like being in kind of like a language nerd, I always find that so interesting because I can't actually speak Cantonese. So if I were to go to Hong Kong and travel, though, like again, as a somewhat like mediocre kind of ish Mandarin speaker, would you guys recommend that I use English or Mandarin?
English, definitely English. Yeah.
I
Right.
think most of
Yeah,
definitely more English.
I knew you guys were gonna say that. I love to ask that question.
They warm up to you if you tell them
Yeah,
you're Taiwanese.
that's what I'm
though.
thinking. Should I just tell them, okay,
Hong Kong is-
我来自台湾? Like, I need to say that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think that would be a good idea. I remember that time when we had like a fur from Singapore. Then they also like they also do ask like a similar question. I think it's understandable on the Singaporean side because Singapore is like what four
Yes, four.
official
Right.
languages, so they have to kind of go with one that is that's more convenient to communicate with like
Right.
other people in Singapore.
Well, let's go into, I guess, one of the last questions. One of the last two. So we know that the furry fandom is quite an open fandom. Regardless of where you are in the world, there seems to be this concept that the furry fandom is a place where you can express your inner self no matter who you are. But how exactly does that play out in Hong Kong? And basically, how does that correlate with like LGBT? Is it more supportive or is it a bit more standoffish?
Well, in terms of LGBT in Hong Kong, we could say that it's really starting to warm up, but it's going to take quite a matter of years.
Mhm.
It's in Asia, so people are like more, I think, a little bit more on the conservative side, but it's definitely breaking through.
I'm gonna jokingly said, as long as you don't affect their own lives or their work, actually being like whatever sexuality you have or hobbies you have, it's like completely fine because just Hong Kong people are too busy to mind about that stuff. Yeah, we're very rushed. Yeah, I mean, like, in my opinion, in my perspective, actually having a persona that is like the opposite gender of my sex that was assigned at birth, I totally feel a lot more comfortable in like expressing myself through this furry fandom.
Awesome.
I mean, it's progressing, but yeah, Gantos is right. Like, it's still leaning towards the conservative side, but it's evolving. I have faith it's going to be positive.
Okay.
Okay.
So I want to go ahead and thank Gantos and Skriller for being here on the podcast because we do have one question and we'll wrap up this episode with this last question. It's actually a unique question, I think, given Hong Kong's status. So the question is, where do you guys see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you want to stay in Hong Kong or do you want to leave? And the reason I'm asking this is because for Gantos, like I know we've been talking back and forth, and I think one of your plans is to move to Canada. And then for Skrill, like I know you're already in the UK, so I guess like, do you plan on like, you know, leaving Hong Kong soon, or what's your plan?
Well, let's just say that I'm thinking of leaving Hong Kong within like the next 2 to 3 years. Well, hopefully to either Vancouver or Toronto. Partly because it's like I just feel like the Hong Kong rat race is starting to tire me. It's like all of those like working like long hours and stuff like that. I just want to go for somewhere that's a little bit more laid back. Not to mention that I already have like some furry friends back in Vancouver and Toronto that I could like probably hook up with and get myself started over there.
I sure am gonna miss being in the same time zone as you though, and then also like whenever like travel becomes safer, like I hope you can still come back to Taiwan.
Oh, definitely. I definitely want to come back to Taiwan,
Infinity.
Taipei, and of course, just want to check out you guys at Infinity. Woo!
Hong Kongers are just famous for working 40 hours a day. Yes.
I believe it.
That's already very lenient.
I want to throw the question over to Skrill then. Like, since I know you're in the UK, like I'm assuming is that going to be your new home for now, or what are your plans?
Actually, because like getting visas and stuff in Hong Kong to the US has been quite of a problem. I'm assuming that this is where I'll be staying, but I'll definitely go back to Hong Kong and visit my friends. And also in the future, I'll be going to the US and study music and stuff. So,
nice. Amazing.
yeah, definitely. It's I do think I'll be staying in the UK, but I'll definitely go to Taiwan Infinity and also
Hey.
Hong Kong to just visit my friends.
Awesome. Awesome.
As someone who went into studying music and then later film back in college, good luck.
Yeah, I already understand. I've been through like the first semester of the online courses, and I'm like, let's see how this goes.
Yeah, yeah.
加油啊！
加油!
Gaio. Well, once again, thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. We have learned a lot about Hong Kong and its furries. We have learned about zipping through the entirety of the country in a matter of, well, less than an hour, basically, right?
Yeah. If we stick on the MTR, that is.
We have learned about party rooms and how you could just rent a place out for people to have a party. And we have also learned about the unique situation and style that Hong Kong has and how it's kind of a pretty unique side of the Asian furry fandom. It would be great to get to know you guys more when you come to Infinity, or if we ever come to you, whichever comes first. Until then, for now, would you mind giving us some of your social media handles? How do you want people to find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Gantos Bobcat, at GANTOSBOBCAT.
For me, you can find me also on Twitter at Skrill, which is SKRILLERFOXEH. And also, Hong Kong actually has like a Twitter account for Hong Kong First, and it's just HK and then FURS.
I'm starting to think that Singapore and Hong Kong might actually be twin brothers separated at birth.
Could be.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
I agree.
share
We
colonial
had British
heritage.
influence.
Yeah.
We only have
Common one.
British influence.
That will be it for this podcast. Thank you, guests, for joining us. This has been the Fox and Burger podcast with me, Burger.
And I am the Macho Fox.
And we will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.